Welcome to Let's Recap. We'll be discussing HBO's Avenue 5, Season 1. Everything you need to know before watching Season 2. Avenue 5 is a luxury spaceship owned by Herman Judd. A freak gravity shift occurs on the ship, and it is violently thrown off course. 3 passengers are killed, along with Joe, a crewman, who is outside the ship doing a comms repair. Everyone finds out that the accident threw the ship off its trajectory. Now the ship will take 3.5 years to get back to Earth. The previous target was 5 weeks. Luckily for everyone, they have a real-life hero as their captain. Captain Ryan Clark is credited with saving Avenue 3 from a fire, even though he repeatedly tells everyone he had nothing to do with it. We learn later that Ryan really isn't a real hero. In fact, he isn't even a real captain. Joe, who just died, was the real captain, but he hired Ryan to play captain because he had poor social skills. Ryan isn't even really an American. He's British, and he's been performing an American accent to sound more credible. His accent comes and goes with his stress level. We learn that engineer Billie should really be in charge of the ship, because she was number 2 behind Joe. In the aftermath of the disaster, it is decided they need to jettison Joe's body, along with the other 3 passengers that died. None of them are able to clear the Avenue 5's gravitational field, however, and they end up orbiting the ship. Back on Earth, Mission Control Leader Rav is negotiating a rescue with the US government. The mission is going to be extremely expensive, and take over 500 rescue ships to accomplish. The US government and the now 2 concurrent presidents agree to foot the bill, but the second president, which is essentially an Amazon Alexa, wants Rav to ditch 500 passengers to increase the ship's speed. If they ditch 500 passengers, the ship will return to Earth in 6 months instead of 3.5 years. At this point, we learn that the deck crew on the ship are also actors, because Judd, who's a real idiot, wanted hot crew members. Billie informs Captain Ryan that the Venn diagram for hot people who can be crew members doesn't have an intersection. There are no hot engineers. The real crew of engineers is working below the fake crew in a Matrix-style section. The passengers are beginning to get unruly, and the chief difficult passenger is Karen Kelly. Ryan bribes her with a new upgraded suite and the role of passenger liaison to quiet her down and to put someone in between him and the passengers. Judd Industries has a public relations problem now. Following the accident, and the rumor that they are going to eject 500 passengers out of the airlock has people on Earth angry. In the wake of this, Rav decides to leave on the next supply ship to Avenue 5, because people are calling for her head. Judd and his assistant Iris decide that this would be a good time for a photo op, to get some good press. They pick Karen's husband, Frank, to push a button which isn't connected to anything while they slingshot around a planet. At the moment Frank pushes this fake button, a sewer pipe explodes, and human waste begins leaking from the ship. This is a problem, because human waste is used as a barrier against solar radiation. If they lose too much waste, everyone will die of cancer caused by radiation poisoning. So people want Captain Ryan to save him, and he reluctantly agrees to EVA outside the ship and repair the leak. Billie ends up saving the day, but everyone congratulates Ryan and pretty much ignores Billie. The leak is fixed, but the feces, just like the coffins, is now orbiting the ship. At this point, a pregnant woman has a baby, and Judd wants to executive produce the pregnancy, whatever that means. After the baby is born, a beeping sound occurs intermittently that sounds like a fire detector which needs a new battery. Spike, the ship's celebrity retired astronaut, informs Billie and Ryan the alarm means they have an oxygen leak. Everyone on the ship is getting tired of Judd's idiocy, and they plan on drugging him so he can't do anything else stupid. Ryan gets some sedatives from Matt, but this makes Matt think he's on drugs. Judd is jealous of the attention the new baby is getting, and he shoots fireworks and glitter into the feces orbiting Avenue 5, and it makes it vibrant and pretty to look at, so people will focus on how great he is, and not on the baby. Frank sees Pope John Paul II's face in the glittering turds, and a following begins to happen outside the rich area of the ship, where the face can be seen. The oxygen leak beeping sound isn't allowing anyone to relax or sleep. Judd orders everyone on the ship to stop running or gasping, because this could waste precious air. That turns out to be really unnecessary, because the beep is really the ship adjusting to the new baby being born, and the oxygen needed for another person on the ship. Billie informs Captain Clark that the rescue plans call for someone to navigate the ship into a very difficult docking station. Only Ryan can do this because his fingerprints were imprinted on the controls along with Joe's. And since Joe is dead, that leaves Ryan. And this is a problem, because Judd fired Ryan because Matt told him he's a drug addict. Billie informs the captain that they don't need to ditch 500 passengers out of the airlock to speed up the ship, they just need to ditch the same amount of mass. So they start a collection effort, headed by Karen, to collect items to shoot out of the airlock. The supply ship docks with the Avenue 5, and initially Judd is going to leave the ship and everyone behind, but he learns everyone on Earth hates him, so we need to stay and make sure all the passengers make it home okay. While this is happening, a woman who works in VFX convinces passengers that they aren't really in space, that they're on a reality TV show. They believe if they walk out into the airlock, the whole thing will be over because this is all fake. Mac calls their bluff and uses some flawed logic to try to convince the passengers to stay. This backfires, and the passengers start going out of the airlock one by one, and when they do, they freeze to death. People see this, but they still believe it's fake because they think it's VFX. That's until Sarah, a fake crew member who used to be a hand model, breaks off her hand when she flies out of the airlock. Now the death toll is up to 11 people. Back at the resupply shuttle, people are fighting with each other to see who can go back to Earth with the pilot. There are only 2 seats on the shuttle. Iris ends up being the passenger that goes back with the pilot because she's saving a spot for Judd, and the auto lock locks behind her, so now she's stuck. When the shuttle is leaving, Karen Carely comes in and says they shot all the material out of the airlocks. The problem is, she shot all of the material out of the side airlocks, which wasn't out of the back, which was needed in order to speed them up. Karen explained that she shot it out of the side because it was easier, because there are more airlocks on the side than the one in the back. This costs them, because now it's going to take 8 years instead of 3.5 to get back to Earth.